Welcome back to CfTesla. My name is Cody, and on today's drive, well, it was a full self-driving drive. I mean, it was from A to Z, all the way through all the car, and it wasn't an easy drive either. We went through school zones, we went around roundabouts that were not easy. We had traffic that was out of their lines, people parking and driving across the yellow line, and the car had to react to all of this, and I never one time had to disengage. Wait till you see this. All right, now on this drive, we are going to be using the Insta360 One RS camera recorded in 4K. I take it and mount it to a mount that I attached to the top of the glass inside of my Tesla Model 3. And today we're going to be using the in-camera 4K stabilization. So it's going to be all stabilized inside of the camera, and we're going to be using that footage for this entire drive. And as always with any of my videos, all the cameras, equipment I use for that video, and all of the different accessories you'll see in the video are all going to be down below in the description in case you want to get a set for yourself. Now, normally when I do a drive video, I cut to all the stuff that's interesting, but because this was a complete success drive, I'm going to show you guys all of it. Now, of course, we're going to fast forward through it all, try to keep the video reasonably timed, but stuff like this does not always happen, and when it does, we want to take a look at it. So let's get into it. Now, I started this video about 5 minutes away from my house on this journey to a client's house here, and right off the bat here, you can see that once again, it got into the far right lane, which is something that's new with this latest update. And if you remember, my analysis on that last update was iffy. I mean, it put me in some really weird situations, but my analysis has gotten better. My thoughts, my feelings about this drive have definitely grown, or this update have definitely grown since you guys saw that video 5 days ago. So here we get over into the far right lane, and really excited about that. But the problem I have with this right now, as you guys will see coming up here, is that I need to actually be getting into the left lane. Before, when we came through here, we had a long 7-mile stretch where we're on this road, but right now I need to be making a turn in 3 lights, and it's about to get very congested. And with the old updates, what it would do in the situation was it would wait until you were almost like halfway past the turn, like not past the turn, but past the beginning of the turn lane, and then start to get in, which would be like an impossible situation in these intersections coming up. But as you watch here, what happens is brilliant. Right here, right like 2 lights and then some away, the car starts getting ready for that turn and gets over into that left lane, which is fantastic. I'm so excited to see that. And then we go through this intersection here, and we're about to get over into this far left lane, and here is where it used to make mistakes all the time as well, where right here what would happen is it would go past the car, and it would try to then cut in somewhere in that line, like 4 or 5 cars forward, but it predicts what it's happening, the path of the other car, so much better, and gets in here and gets lined up. You can see it's now tracking that car in the very back of that long turn lane to the left, and then gets me right in line for that. Brilliant. It works so well. Very, very excited about that. Now, just my luck, I was the last car not to make it through, but whatever. You guys get to see some really cool fast forward here. And then one thing I noticed about this one is the cornering is much more aggressive. Watch when I turn this corner here. Like I'm probably like 3 feet. It doesn't make me look that way in the camera, but I'm like 2 to 3 feet into the lane, cutting that corner. And I did that a few times on this drive, and I'm actually okay with that because it doesn't feel awkward. It just feels more than it used to be. It's just kind of an observation, but I find that when I drive, I do that a lot of times too. I know it's not good. I'm not bragging about it, but it's just something that stood out to me because every time I've turned that corner before on full self-drive, I often did that. So got me over into the left turn lane here, and now we are doing something that is merging from the full self-driving system to the regular navigate and autopilot system, which is getting onto the highway here, which it did very well. It did not put the blinker on while merging on, which is, well, actually it did because it changed lanes right away, but the initial merge it did not, and then got me going on there. So as we're driving here on the freeway, it does a couple lane changes, but while we're doing this, I'll tell you a little bit about what car I'm in, and a little bit about the full self-driving system while we're just cruising along the freeway here. So I have a 2019, it's a all white, it's a all blue, so it's the blue Model 3 long range all-wheel drive model. I've obviously paid for the full self-drive package, but I bought it in 2019 with it, so it was only $6,000, 50% of what it is now. Now, one thing I'll point out along this freeway as well is that other people still have been quite adapted to the whole full self-driving thing. I mean, non-Tesla drivers. Because, you know, I'm driving here in this fast lane and I'm going past these other cars. And the reason why my car is not getting into this lane is because my max speed is set to go faster than those cars in that right lane. And so it's not going to get over until the car notices that, you know, you're not going to come right up on that other car, which is fine. And I'm going 7 over the speed limit. But what you can't tell right now is that there's been this Jeep 2 car lengths behind me. It was a big van just tailgating me, wanting me to get over. Now, a normal driver that saw that in the rearview mirror would feel uncomfortable like I did right here and get over and watch this guy take off past me there. You know, that's something that the full self-driving system does not pick up on and is not dealing with right now very well. And that is, it's going to follow the logic and the algorithm that it's set to follow, which is just get over when there's space, when you're not going to creep up on the car in front of you too fast. It's not going to worry about someone else wanting to go faster, not yet anyway. So now we take the exit off of the highway, and then as soon as we're on this exit, then it kicks back into the full self-driving system. This is where if you don't pay for the full self-driving system, or you're not on the full self-driving beta, I guess I should say, you'd have to be on Navigate and Autopilot or have it. I paid the $12,000 to have it take the exit, but now that I'm on the exit ramp is where it kicks into the full self-driving program, where it takes over now. And this is where it gets pretty cool. So we get up to the top of this hill here, and I know I'm zipping the fast forward all over the place to make this, you know, happen here. It turns right at the light, which is great. And then here's a pretty complex situation that is the one time I almost got involved, but I let the car handle it. And if there was a car there, I don't know how the car would have handled that. Would have been a little bit different. But it gets into the left turn lane right here and waits a long period before it went. Not a long period, but a few seconds. It didn't just follow the other cars right through at the speed they were going. It's all I thought it was clear. And when it went, it cut it so hard, like we were talking about earlier, that it actually went fully into that turn lane. I mean, I was way more in the turn lane for the oncoming car, the opposing direction, than I was, you know, on my side. And because of that, the car got really confused and jumped around. And you can see that the wheel, I jerked all over the place, and I grabbed the wheel, but I didn't put any pressure on it. As you can see, it didn't kick me out of full self-drive. And it did catch its mistake and figure it out. Now, if there was a car there, it would have used that as a pivoting point to get around that car, and that wouldn't have happened. It's just that the lines are trying to be interpreted by the cameras, and it's a lot harder to do that when there's no car there in terms of where it's able to drive. And so if you're thinking, wow, that would have been terrible if there was a car there, no, it would have been better if there was a car there. It's when there's no cars that the car has a harder time seeing the lines and, you know, getting all that. Now, one thing too is we zip forward here to the roundabout, which was really great. And again, up to this point, I have not one time helped the car. I've never taken it off full self-drive, and this was a 27-minute drive. Okay, we get down to this roundabout here, and you see the car stops before the crosswalk, which is another nice update. So if there was people coming by and all that, you wouldn't be stuck right on the top of that crosswalk, which is, again, a proper and polite way to drive. And then once the car finally goes, the car goes all the way through on its own, no problem, and gets around that roundabout. And I'll just mention this as we zip by this on fast forward, that we're going to come back through that school zone right there in a minute. And the car has to deal with that situation, which got a lot worse by the time I turned around and I came back. So we're going to cut this part of the drive right there. Just a few minutes down the road is my client's house. So we did that entire drive all by itself. I wouldn't say flawlessly, because a few times I did cut lines like we talked about that was a little bit sketchy, but overall, I mean, I never had to interact. It got me there. If I would have gotten in the car and didn't have to put pressure on the wheel, I would have woken up at my client's driveway-ish. Okay, it would have been right there, stalled or turned off right in front of their house on the road. And so that's a pretty awesome thing. People that say, you know, full self-driving is way out there, it's way too far away, it's never going to happen. Well, drives like this give us hope that it will. Now, obviously, there's a lot more complex situations that it has to deal with, which we can talk about more in another video. But for now, pretty impressive. Now, I'm going to show you this one last thing that I think is pretty cool. And that's right here. Take a look at this. We're coming back by the school here, and watch what the car does as it notices these other cars are coming out into its lane. And I turned the camera on late here because I wasn't planning on recording, but the car actually pulls out, and we are actually driving right now with my left tires over that center lane. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, or that center, the double yellow line. We're actually on that right now. The car's not stopping. It's going around it and driving until we get through the intersection. Then it goes and corrects itself back into the center, which is all done automatically using all the sensors, the camera, and it figuring out its own path, which is super cool. But like I said, I mean, there is a lot that Full Self-Drive still has to figure out. How does it deal with police officers zooming up behind you? How does it deal with if you get a flat tire in the car? It's probably just going to stop. Detours, all those kinds of things. We're going to have to wait and see how these smart people at Tesla figure out how to deal with that kind of stuff. Obviously, when we switch to single stack and everything in the future, we're going to see a lot of improvements there. But don't you guys agree? Impressive drive, right? Gives you some hope that this money we invested in our car is going to yield to something someday. And if those of you guys who are on the Full Self-Drive beta program right now, tell me about your stories. Let me know. Are you having some full successes, A through C like that? Long drives, not to the grocery store, 2 minutes, but 20, 30-minute drives. Anyway, thanks for watching this one. We got a lot of great reviews and tutorials coming up, so don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and I will see you all in the next one.